In the deep, colorful world of Bikini Bottom, there's one friendship that stood the test of time: SpongeBob SquarePants and Patrick Star. Ever since the show began in 1999, these two have been inseparable. Whether they're jellyfishing, blowing bubbles, or just goofing off, SpongeBob and Patrick are rarely seen apart. On the surface, it looks like the perfect friendship: simple, fun, and full of laughter. But fans who've been watching for years know there's more to it. Patrick isn't always the best friend. In fact, he's often selfish, clueless, and sometimes downright mean. He's humiliated SpongeBob, taken advantage of him, and even put him in dangerous situations. And yet, SpongeBob always forgives him. No matter what happens, SpongeBob stays loyal to Patrick, even when it seems like he shouldn't. So that brings us to the big question: why? Why can't SpongeBob end his friendship with Patrick? Most people would have walked away a long time ago, but not SpongeBob, and in this video we're going to break down their friendship and look at it from every angle, from Patrick's questionable behavior to SpongeBob's deep loyalty, and even what it says about real-life friendships. This is more than just a cartoon. It's a look at how far one person will go to hold on to a friendship even when it hurts. Because maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of SpongeBob in all of us. Let's be honest, Patrick Star isn't exactly a role model when it comes to being a friend. Sure, he's got a lovable voice and a goofy smile, but when you look closer, it's clear that Patrick causes SpongeBob a lot of pain. Time and time again, he puts his own wants first, often ignoring or even mocking SpongeBob in the process. One of the most obvious examples is from the episode I'm with Stupid. In this one, Patrick's parents come to visit, and to impress them, he convinces SpongeBob to act dumb so he can appear smart. What follows is a cringeworthy display where Patrick ridicules SpongeBob in front of his family. It's humiliating, and SpongeBob doesn't deserve it, yet he plays along because he cares about Patrick's feelings more than his own pride. Then there's Something Smells. This episode takes a dark turn when SpongeBob eats a sundae made of onions and ketchup, giving him horrible breath. Patrick convinces him that people are avoiding him because he's ugly. SpongeBob spirals into self-doubt and sadness, all because of a lie Patrick casually threw out without thinking. And who could forget Rock-a-Bye Bivalve, a fan favorite that doubles as a lesson in irresponsible parenting. SpongeBob and Patrick adopt a baby Scallop, while SpongeBob takes on all the duties: feeding, cleaning, caring. Patrick disappears to work, which really just means watching TV and eating snacks. It's not just lazy, it's cold. And again, SpongeBob just takes it. But it's not just about the big episodes. Patrick often ruins SpongeBob's plans, eats his food without asking, ignores his feelings, and sometimes even bullies him outright. In Yours, Mine, and Mine, Patrick refuses to share a toy that SpongeBob paid for. When SpongeBob tries to reason with him, Patrick ends up stealing his wallet to buy another one. It's a long list of selfish moments, and fans have noticed. Entire YouTube videos and Reddit threads are dedicated to calling Patrick out. Some even label him as the real villain of the show. He's impulsive, thoughtless, and often downright cruel. So why does SpongeBob keep forgiving him? What's most painful is that SpongeBob doesn't just forgive Patrick, he defends him. When others call Patrick out, SpongeBob often stands by his side. He gives him second, third, even 10th chances. SpongeBob is loyal to a fault, and it often leads to his own suffering. Of course, Patrick isn't always terrible. There are moments where he tries, in his own clumsy way, to be there for SpongeBob, but those moments are few and far between compared to the damage he causes. In any real-life friendship, this kind of behavior would be considered toxic. Most people would be told to set boundaries or walk away, but not in Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob sticks around, and it makes us wonder, what kind of loyalty is this? And is it healthy? This section isn't meant to bash Patrick, but to point out that there's a pattern, and understanding this pattern is key to answering the big question: why can't SpongeBob walk away? Despite everything Patrick puts him through, SpongeBob always finds it in his heart to forgive. It's one of his most defining traits. He doesn't hold grudges, doesn't seek revenge, and never walks away from someone he cares about. That kind of loyalty might seem unrealistic, but it's what makes SpongeBob such a unique and enduring character. Let's be real, most of us would have called it quits after just one or two of the things Patrick's done. Whether it's being mocked, ignored, lied to, or left to do all the work alone, SpongeBob has faced it all. But every time Patrick messes up, SpongeBob chooses kindness. He doesn't yell or shut down. He forgives, instantly, completely. So where does that come from? At his core, SpongeBob sees the good in people, especially in Patrick. He's always focused on the bright side, the potential in others, and the joy of shared experiences. That positive attitude isn't just surface level, it's a worldview. SpongeBob believes that friendship means standing by each other no matter what. Think about how SpongeBob reacts to conflict. In the episode Big Pink Loser, Patrick becomes jealous of SpongeBob's success and tries to copy everything he does. When he fails, he lashes out. Instead of taking it personally, SpongeBob encourages him and builds him back up. He doesn't feel threatened, he just wants Patrick to feel good about himself again. Even more powerful is the episode Best Frenemies. When Patrick and SpongeBob both want to be best friends with a third character, they get into a petty fight. But by the end, SpongeBob is the one who apologizes and admits he misses their friendship. That humility, that ability to put pride aside, is what keeps their bond strong. Another example is The Secret Box. Patrick taunts SpongeBob with a mysterious box he refuses to open. SpongeBob gets frustrated and even tries to sneak a peek, but in the end, the box contains a piece of string, and Patrick was teasing him all along. Most people would have been furious, but SpongeBob laughs. It's just another silly moment between best friends to him. But let's not mistake SpongeBob's forgiveness for ignorance. He's not blind to Patrick's flaws. He gets hurt. He feels disappointment, but he chooses to believe that their friendship is more important than any one argument or betrayal. And that decision takes real emotional maturity, especially for a character that's often seen as childish. SpongeBob's ability to forgive is also tied to his fear of losing people. His world is centered around connections. His job at the Krusty Krab, his snail Gary, and especially his friendships. Losing Patrick would mean losing a huge part of his identity. So rather than risk that, SpongeBob puts his heart on the line again and again. There's something admirable about that. In a world where friendships often end over small fights or misunderstandings, SpongeBob shows us what it looks like to really stick by someone, to love unconditionally. It's messy, it's painful, and yes, it can seem foolish, but it's also incredibly human. Of course, in real life, boundaries are important. Forgiveness shouldn't mean letting someone hurt you repeatedly, but SpongeBob's example reminds us that people can change, and that second chances matter. Maybe that's why so many viewers relate to him. We've all had a Patrick in our life, and we've all had to decide whether to walk away or hold on. SpongeBob holds on. Because in his heart, friendship isn't something you throw away when it gets tough. It's something you fight for, even when the other person doesn't deserve it. So far, we've seen how SpongeBob's loyalty, kindness, and forgiving nature play a big part in his friendship with Patrick. But underneath all that is something deeper, something psychological. If you've ever wondered why SpongeBob keeps returning to someone who often mistreats him, the answer might lie in basic human behavior. Let's take a closer look at the psychology behind why SpongeBob stays. First, consider SpongeBob's biggest fear, being alone. While he has other characters in his life, like Sandy, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs, none of them offer the kind of emotional connection he has with Patrick. Patrick doesn't just go along with SpongeBob's silly ideas, he encourages them. He's one of the few people in Bikini Bottom who makes SpongeBob feel seen and understood. That's not something SpongeBob wants to lose. This fear of losing emotional security is very real. Many people, both in fiction and real life, stay in one-sided relationships because the thought of starting over or being alone is more painful than putting up with mistreatment. For SpongeBob, being without Patrick might feel like losing a piece of himself. SpongeBob also shows strong signs of being a people pleaser. He's constantly trying to make others happy, often ignoring his own needs. Whether he's trying to win Squidward's approval or working overtime at the Krusty Krab, he seems wired to put others first. With Patrick, it's no different. When Patrick's upset, SpongeBob goes out of his way to fix things, even if it means sacrificing his own peace of mind. This type of behavior often stems from low self-worth or a need for external validation. People pleasers tend to believe their value comes from how well they care for others, not from who they are. So if Patrick's happy, SpongeBob feels like he's doing something right. And if Patrick's mad, SpongeBob takes that personally and scrambles to repair the friendship, no matter who was at fault. Then there's trauma bonding, a psychological term used to describe the emotional attachment formed between someone and a person who causes them repeated harm. It doesn't require abuse. It just needs a cycle of mistreatment followed by moments of affection or apology. SpongeBob and Patrick may not be in a toxic relationship in the extreme sense, but they do have a pattern. Patrick hurts SpongeBob, then makes him laugh or shows a flash of kindness, and SpongeBob instantly forgives him. Over time, this pattern becomes familiar and even comforting. SpongeBob might not even realize how much it affects his thinking. He's stuck in a loop, get hurt, forgive, repeat, and because he remembers the good times so strongly, he convinces himself that things will get better. Nostalgia also plays a huge role. SpongeBob and Patrick have been best friends since childhood. Their friendship is filled with inside jokes, shared experiences, and childhood wonder. That kind of emotional history is hard to throw away. A lot of people hang on to relationships because of how good things used to be, not how they are now. SpongeBob might be holding out hope that the old Patrick, the fun, loyal one, will return for good. And finally, we can't forget identity. SpongeBob sees himself as a good person. Being a good friend isn't just what he does, it's who he is. If he were to walk away from Patrick, it would challenge everything he believes about himself. It would mean setting boundaries, saying no, and admitting that love has limits. That's a difficult shift, especially for someone who sees the world through a lens of optimism and kindness. So while it might seem easy to say, just dump Patrick, the truth is far more complex. SpongeBob stays because of emotional need, habit, fear, and hope. And honestly, a lot of us can relate to that more than we'd like to admit. At first glance, the friendship between SpongeBob and Patrick is just a funny cartoon relationship, but when you really look at it, it starts to feel surprisingly real. Their dynamic, complete with joy, pain, loyalty, and frustration, mirrors the kinds of friendships many of us experience in real life, and there's something important to learn from it. First, it teaches us about loyalty. SpongeBob shows a level of commitment to Patrick that's rare. Even when things get tough, he doesn't abandon the friendship. That kind of loyalty is powerful. It shows that real relationships aren't just about having fun. They're also about sticking around when it's uncomfortable or hard. In a world where friendships are often treated as temporary, SpongeBob reminds us what it means to stay. But at the same time, their friendship also raises an important question. When is loyalty too much? At what point does it stop being admirable and start becoming harmful? In real life, forgiving someone over and over without expecting change can wear a person down. It can lead to burnout, stress, and a loss of self-worth. SpongeBob's relationship with Patrick might be entertaining on TV, but it also reflects the real struggle people face when trying to hold on to friendships that no longer feel fair. It also teaches us about boundaries. One of the biggest things missing in SpongeBob and Patrick's friendship is a clear sense of what's okay and what's not. Patrick crosses the line again and again, mocking SpongeBob, using him, even abandoning him, and SpongeBob never pushes back. That sends a message, especially to younger viewers, that being a good friend means never saying no. But in reality, healthy friendships are built on respect. That means setting boundaries, communicating openly, and standing up for yourself when needed. Still, there's something beautiful in SpongeBob's heart. His ability to forgive, to keep seeing the good in Patrick, is something the world could use more of. We live in a time where canceling people over small mistakes is common, and sometimes people are thrown away before they're given a chance to grow. SpongeBob reminds us that people are flawed, but that doesn't mean they're beyond redemption. The key takeaway here is balance. It's okay to forgive, to give second chances, to be there for someone through rough patches, but it's also okay to expect better. SpongeBob never really asks Patrick to grow. He just accepts him as he is. That's sweet, but it's also one-sided. In a healthy friendship, both people need to grow together. So maybe the real lesson from this friendship is this: love your friends, forgive them when they mess up, and stick by them when it matters. But also know your worth. Don't be afraid to speak up, set boundaries, and protect your peace. True friends will respect that and meet you halfway. After all the arguments, the selfish acts, and the hurtful moments, one thing remains clear: SpongeBob and Patrick are still best friends. Their bond, while flawed, is unbreakable, and that says something powerful, not just about them, but about the nature of friendship itself. SpongeBob teaches us that friendship isn't always easy. It's not always fun or fair or perfect. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it feels one-sided, but if there's trust, history, and genuine love underneath it all, there's also something worth fighting for. Patrick isn't a perfect friend. In fact, at times, he's one of the worst. But he's also SpongeBob's person, his ride or die, his partner in crime. They've grown up together. They've shared the best and worst moments of their lives. And SpongeBob, with all his flaws and strengths, sees that as something sacred. That doesn't mean we should all accept toxic behavior or stay in relationships that make us feel small. But it does mean we should think carefully about the people in our lives, who they are, what they've been through, and what they mean to us. Because sometimes the person who hurts us isn't trying to be cruel. They're just lost, immature, or unaware. And sometimes all it takes is patience and compassion to help them become better. The truth is, SpongeBob's friendship with Patrick is a mirror. For some, it reflects loyalty and unconditional love. For others, it reflects the difficulty of letting go. And for many, it reflects the reality of trying to navigate complicated relationships in a messy world. So maybe that's why this friendship has lasted more than 2 decades on screen. It's not just funny, it's real. Because sometimes, holding on isn't weakness. It's a choice. A choice to believe in someone, even when they don't deserve it. A choice to love deeply, even when it's hard. And a choice to see the best in people, no matter how many times they mess up. That's the kind of friend SpongeBob is. And maybe, just maybe, that's the kind of friend we all wish we had. Or could be. If you enjoyed this expanded look at why can't SpongeBob end his friendship with Patrick, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let us know what other SpongeBob questions you'd like us to explore next.